Shabbat Shalom. I think we have had some terrific Divrei Torah over the summer and adding voices. Rabbi Winters spoke, Rabbi Abramson, who was sitting right there, gave a really powerful talk earlier in the summer. Of course, the Chazan spoke, and Rabbi Megdal spoke, Michelle Branfman spoke. Toby Schoenfeld spoke on books, lots of books, and loving Game of Thrones, right? Exactly. So Toby spoke, and Rabbi Rudolph is coming up in a week or two. He's going to be speaking, and others. But tonight, I'm sorry, you're stuck with me. But sabbatical has been going well, and I'm deeply appreciative of the synagogue for this gift of time. As Aryeh pointed out, we are in this period leading up to Tisha B'Av. And all of Tisha B'Av really it's a interesting holiday of politics. Right? It is about the collapse of the central structures of Jewish practice of that time. It is the destruction of not just the worship place, but of the kingdom and power of the Jewish people at that time. And it just feels that at this moment today that we're living in also feels like we are leading up to the same type of fragility. Now, I don't know what the outcome of today's world is going to be, but the fragility that we have in these 9 days leading up to Tisha B'Av, the uncertainty, the lead up to it seems like emotionally and spiritually the same type of crisis that I'm feeling, not only as a Jew, but as an American. And so I want to use this calendrical time moment to reflect on that type of stress, that type of need for truth-telling, and how common it is to tell lies. Whether it's the big lie that's out there, whether it's the January 6th hearings that we have been watching either intently or certainly passively in the background, it is the upheaval of Roe and how that may extend to other rights as well. We are in a fragile moment here. So let's start not with a Jewish theologian, but a political philosopher, Machiavelli. And I'll read it just so people at home can hear as well. So Machiavelli writes in The Prince, "Everyone admits how praiseworthy it is in a prince to keep his word and to behave with integrity rather than cunning. Nevertheless, our experience has been that those princes who have done great things have considered keeping their word of little account and have known how to beguile men's minds by shrewdness and cunning. In the end, these princes have overcome those who have relied on keeping our word. Occasionally, words must serve to veil the facts. But let this happen in such a way that no one becomes aware of it. Or if it should be noticed, excuses must be at hand to be produced immediately." Written centuries ago, this seems like the playbook of what is happening now. It's interesting. The minor fasts that we have in Judaism are actually all political fasts. That there's the major fast of Tisha B'Av, of Yom Kippur, but there are minor fasts as well, which doesn't refer to how important they are. It refers to the length of the fast. Unlike Yom Kippur, that is nightfall to nightfall, a minor fast or a shorter fast is just sun up to sun down. So look at what these four fasts are, and you'll see how political they are. The 17th of Tammuz that we just had, of course, is the breaching of the walls of Jerusalem as Jerusalem is being attacked. clearly a political moment, and it leads into Tisha B'Av. The fast of Gedalia, when is that? Exactly, very good. The day after Rosh Hashanah, right? That this is the assassination of a Babylonian governor over Judea who was assassinated by a fellow Judean following the destruction of the first temple. Again, a political fast. The 10th of Tevet is the beginning of the Babylonian siege of Jerusalem. And even the fast of Esther. Right? She's fasting maybe purely out of a spiritual moment, but what is she in need of purifying herself to do? To go talk to the king to save the Jews of Persia. Right? Clearly, it's a political moment as well. It's interesting that these non-biblical moments are really connected with the world that the Jews are living in. Politics is not disconnected from Jewish practice, Jewish thought, Jewish experience. So let me shift a little bit. This is a well-known story, so you may be familiar with it. It's the story of Kamsa and Bar Kamsa. Two guys that have almost the exact same name. One is the friend of a king. The other is the enemy of the king. Okay. Someone want to read this one? This is from Gittin 55. It's in English. And it's right before you. So, Craig? Okay. Sure, yeah, why don't you come up here? That would be good.
There was a certain man whose friend was named Kamsa, and whose enemy was named Bar Kamsa. He once made a large feast and said to his servant, "Go bring me my friend Kamsa." The servant went and mistakenly brought him his enemy Bar Kamsa. The man who was hosting the feast came and found Bar Kamsa sitting at the feast. The host said to Bar Kamsa, "The man is the enemy of that man. That is, you are my enemy. What then do you want here? Arise and leave." Bar Kamsa said to him, "Since I have already come, let me stay, and I will give you money for whatever I eat and drink. Just do not embarrass me by sending me out." The host said to him, "No, you must leave." Bar Kamsa said to him, "I will give you money for half of the feast. Just do not send me away." The host said to him, "No, you must leave." Bar Kamsa then said to him, "I will give you money for the entire feast. Just let me stay." The host said to him, "No, you must leave." Finally, the host took Bar Kamsa by his hand, stood him up, and took him out. After having been cast out from the feast, Bar Kamsa said to himself, "Since the sages are sitting there and did not protest the actions of the host, although they saw how he humiliated me, learn from it that they were content with what he did. I will therefore go and inform again them to the king." He went and said to the emperor, "The Jews have rebelled against you."
Thank you. All right, so we have, just by coincidence of names, the enemy comes and the host humiliates him and wants him to leave. That he actually even says in this moment, I'll pay for what I eat. I'll pay for half the party. I'll pay for the entire party. Just don't send me out. It'll be so humiliating in front of all of the sages, all the people of the community. And actually what I'm interested in, often the story is brought to talk about not embarrassing people in public, right? It's this interaction between Bar Kamsa and the host. I'm actually interested in today the silence of the sages. The silence of the sages. I'm watching the January 6th hearings, and we're lifting people up because they were so brave that on January 6th, they decided to resign. Not on the 5th or in December or in October before. Right? But only after the Capitol was stormed did they realize, oh, this has gone too far. I'm not sure if they deserve being heroes because they, like the sages, were silent. Most often they were not silent. They were part of what was going on before. So it strikes me that here we have this story where silence is complicit and in agreement. And that's in contrast to the people that are testifying, to a few of the people that are testifying on January 6th that said only after literally the Capitol was breached. That seems to have been too far. I'm not sure you're a hero for that. We have texts all over the Torah and commentaries we're familiar with, generally, if not specifically, that lying is a bad thing. Don't bear false witness. Here's one I brought from Exodus 20:13. It's one verse, but it has many sections to it. Do not murder. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Right? And the rabbis tied these all together. That one is it's like you're doing something else. It's a breach of obligations to each other, either as humanity, as marriage vow. You're breaking down society in this verse. Sforno says, picking up on this verse, that this includes spreading slander and untruthful defamation, even though it principally is about the one who testifies in court. Right? So he's saying that while this may be about the rules, the legal rules, this also extends beyond the way we treat each other, the way that we talk about each other. This rule extends beyond just the confines of the courtroom. Or Ibn Ezra says, for many years I asked myself why Scripture employs the phrase eid sheker, false witness, and not edut sheker, false testimony. I now believe that Scripture is addressing the false witness, and our verse is to be interpreted as if it reads, thou shalt not give testimony if thou art a false witness. Or the Bakor Shor says, distance yourself from a false matter. Put distance between yourself and those who speak lies and gossipers, since on this the text already warned, you must not carry false rumors in Exodus. And then do not bring death on those who are innocent and in the right, also in Exodus, because liars cause the killing of the ones in the right and of the innocent. And when I saw this, I thought of the officers who were attacked and the people that lost their lives because lies were spread. Lies cause the killing of those that are in the correct, in the right, and of the innocent. In 2017, well before this January 6th, the breaching of the Capitol, years before that, Deborah Lipstadt, who's now an ambassador and has written extensively and really is an amazing figure, she did a TED Talk interview. And then here are excerpts about it. That there was a court case going on that she had, I remember the details of it, but it was about Holocaust deniers. And in the end, she won this court case, but she was talking about truth compared to Holocaust deniers. So many of us, this is an excerpt from the TED Talk, many of us have been taught to think there are facts and there are opinions. After studying deniers, she says, I think differently. There are facts, there are opinions, and there are lies. And what deniers want to do is take their lies, dress them up as opinions. Maybe edgy opinions, maybe sort of out-of-the-box opinions, but then if they're opinions, then they should be part of the conversations, she says. And then they encroach on the facts. It's important what she's pointing out, right? That if you take a lie and you say, well, that's my opinion, that's what I believe, and therefore, because the culture that we live in, all opinions should be part of conversation, right? We're not denying opinions. Then it takes that lie and it puts it closer to the mainstream, she talks about. And we have seen this as it comes to the political world that we live in today. She's talking about this in regards to Holocaust denying. She continues, truth is not relative. Many of us have grown up in the world of the academy and enlightened liberal thought where we're taught everything is open to debate, but that's not the case. There are certain things that are true. There are indisputable facts, objective truths. The earth is not flat. The climate is changing. Elvis is not alive. And most importantly, truth and fact are under assault, she writes. The job ahead of us, the task ahead of us, the challenge ahead of us is great. The time to fight is short. We must act now. Later will be too late. We are living in the later from when she wrote this in 2017. And her words were correct. We are in this critical moment of being in between. That is what this part, these days leading up to Tisha B'Av, are called, in the narrow straits. That's what these days of the 9 days are called. And how are we going to respond? Right? It's interesting to watch hearings over there take place. And when I say over there, of course, we know it's just a few miles from where we sit. But what are we going to do with fortifying truth, with fortifying rights that have been taken away from us, with standing up in a way different than what we have been doing before? Because climate is changing, and the climate of America has already changed. That is what we have to do in every way possible to us, so that we can stand steeped in our tradition and to fortify the country that we love. Shabbat Shalom.